Alrighty, so week 6 in CIT 85, and it is a fun week, in my humble opinion, for this course because we start on our project. And here at week 6, you have to kind of really start focusing in on that this class is a short-term class, right? 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 is the last week of the semester. So making sure that even though I do offer late work, you're staying up with this class because the end of the semester will come fairly quickly, like everything. And because this is a short-term class, we do have a pretty big project we're going to start working on this week that we work on every week until the end. And then what you'll do at the end, as I talked about last week, is you'll share out your project, your completed project. So this week I just wanted to bring back something that Dave's been showing and I've talked about, and even in the code along for this week I talk about, but I can just tell you that learning DevTools is so helpful. And DevTools, right? So if you're in a page, right, you're learning how to go down into DevTools, learning how when you scroll through your page, right, you can see different parts of your page. I mean, there's just so much, and that's just one thing, because the thing it becomes really handy is when we're actually styling, which we will do for our project next week. But I can just tell you that there is never a bad investment to learning more about DevTools. There's just not. I mean, we've learned this box model and how to try to understand how our elements, based on the way we've maybe done padding and margin, right? How that is, how that space is handled. I mean, there's just so much that my point about this is you can never learn too much about DevTools. Now, the other thing is the other browsers, Microsoft Edge, Safari, maybe, Opera, Brave. There's other browsers out there. Most people generally use, I find, either Chrome or Edge. Somebody had come in and shown me they were using Edge, and I was able to find most of what I needed, but I've really, for me, found that Chrome works the best. And the reason I think that's true, and I've talked to many professional developers, is that Google has really just invested so much in building out the Chrome DevTools because Google built Chrome, the browser. It's my preferred browser. Now, some people may have issues with Google and Chrome, and that's why I don't say you absolutely have to use something. I just find it to be really helpful, especially for what we're doing here. So, learn more DevTools, or if you want to know more about it, come talk to me. So the thing before I talk about metadata, I just want to say, and just to help you understand the context of the series that we've been watching, now we're on the CSS series from Dave Gray. But Dave is actually being published through the free CodeCamp YouTube channel. But Dave has his own channel, and I definitely recommend go thank Dave. Go to his site. Maybe even go into this video, that series that we're watching, or somewhere. You can even buy Dave a cup of coffee. You don't have to. But think about how cool it is that Dave provides this content that we get to use to learn HTML and CSS. And, of course, there's benefits to Dave. And you might wonder, well, what does Free Code Camp have to do with this? Well, Free Code Camp is a great site, which I highly recommend you check out as well. I have used them in the past for various projects for other classes, but they're a really good place to keep learning, because the thing about a subject like you're learning here, the HTML, the CSS, right? It's my visual for that, is that you could just, it's a continuous process of learning. And Free Code Camp offers more tutorials to where you can take and you can kind of see how well you've learned some of these tools, but also it has projects. They have a whole path of the whole pathway of learning, different topics they've added, I think recently, data science, machine learning. But what we're doing is we're watching Dave's CSS, and we watch his HTML out being broadcast through the Free Code Camp sites. And because Free Code Camp has got a pretty huge base, and Free Code Camp approached Dave and said, hey, we'd love to distribute through our YouTube channel your content, which really helps Dave. helps Free Code Camp. But more than anything, I just want you to say, hey, consider that all the content that gets created, right? Somebody in the future, it may be AI for sure. We already see some YouTube stuff getting created and some content getting created, but I feel like the highest quality stuff is still created by humans, and I think this is going to be true for at least the next couple of years, maybe longer. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds? But regardless, I want to say thank Dave. Go thank him. Thank him for what he does. Because we didn't have a textbook, and so that's one of the goals I'm working on for the campuses in the whole web developer program. We want to have no textbooks, completely 100% online, and we're pretty much there, so I'm pretty excited about that. Okay, so the video you're going to watch for the code along, which is the first thing you have this week. So first up, you have a code along for this week. There's a video for that, so I don't have to go over it. And for the project step 1, I just recorded a video, a new updated video to go through that content for what you're going to need to do. But one area that I felt like I kind of glossed over a little bit, I just want to talk about, it is worth talking about. And to do this, I'm going to bring up the site I did for project part 1. And up in the head section, right, so if I just make this a little larger, right, we learned about the author and description. So one of the things in the project I talked about that I think I could have been more clear about is that you need a unique title. So for each page, because you're going to end up creating several pages in this week, and so each page needs to have a unique title. So this is my index page, and then here is my why, or start my ethics, my why, my start, right? So each of them should have a unique title, and it should have a unique description as well. But the author, and which is myself, of course, so this can be the same. Author can be the same for all of them, but your description is there. But you want a unique description for each page, and you want a unique title for each page. Now, why this becomes important, and then again, these are students who took 82, they learned some of this, is the search engine optimization. Because this is where we have bots that search pages, and this helps them understand the unique data that's on there. Description, the title is very important. Right, so in the head section, this meta tag gets used several places. So in the project, when I say a unique title and a unique description, that's what I mean. But the rest of it, meaning the author, can stay the same, but it needs to be on each page, right? And the other thing is, and I talked about this as the beginning, is I'm going to have you create a new folder, and I walk you through how to do that. But in this case, you're going to have this week we do P1, next week we do P2, week after we do 2 steps of P3, and then we share out. So we're using that same image structure I had you do before. So it'll be at the same level. So when you're looking at images, and that was the other thing I realized I could have done a better job on, the idea of, right, so here's the image reference. The height, you need to include height and weight. I actually kind of skipped over that because I hadn't done it, so I went and did it after this. You need alt, you need title. And in this case, if it's after the fold, you would want lazy loading. Now, I don't have an image down here, but if I had an image that was further in the page, you definitely want to have lazy loading. That way, the page loads quicker. It's hard to see it on the amount of content we have. This idea of the lazy loading images are really meant for higher end, bigger sites that have a lot more images. But I just wanted to say a word about that, just to help you understand the importance of that, because when I went over it, I don't think I did a great job, but also I wanted to also kind of revisit the images. I got something in my eye. So I hope you have fun with this week. It's really important because what I talked about last week was the idea of the grade, right? And how our projects, and in this case, there's going to be 5 different P1, P2, 2 P3s, and a final. So 5 pieces, 5 different items, 40%, that's 8% for each, 8% of your grade for each of the parts. Now we could do the same calculation to figure out all the other code alongs, right, and add them up. But my point about this is that these have a bigger impact on your grade. And I wanted to be specific about what that was because I don't think I did it last week. But also if I scroll forward, right, I've already talked about the end of the semester and how these things as far as dates go and the importance of that. But I'll cover that again as we get a little closer. But this week, like I said, we're starting on an important part of our project, our important part of our class, which is the projects. And I talk about in there the importance. You'll have a menu. And I talk about the difference between a menu and by the way, this is important, worth mentioning again. The menu you see here is a consistent menu throughout your site. Some of you, and this was really okay, and then some of the group work had anchor links that linked to the content on the page. You could still do that, but you wouldn't put them in the menu, okay? You could put them in an alternative menu, or you could even do page navigation somewhere outside of this, and we'll end up styling this as we go through, and you'll see different ways to style it. But in general, when you're approaching a site, you have your menu, right? And then you can have links that take you to different parts of your page if you have a long page, which we will do for the index page, but then you will have subpages. But the more important thing is navigating the site. So I'll talk a little about that. So you're going to get a little duplicate, which is okay because important things sometimes need to be talked about more than once. Okay. All right. Have a great one. Let's see the reply here. So if I go back here, right, and I look at this, right, so we're going to do content, pages, and images. We're going to use ChatGPT. I showed you how to use Bing. Some of you, I think, may have used some other site. That's fine. We know how to, this is a question, because I've actually shown this. Do you know how to resize images? And do you know how to now reference them, right, based on the folder structure that I talked about? If so, give me a note on your reply saying this is what the image tag should include for the SRC, the source attribute, because it's like image, right? Image tag, and then we have an attribute called source, and what should that source equal, what should that reference inside the source equal for the kind of file structure we've been using? Okay. Anyway, or any other question you may have had. Talk to you later.